Okay, today's question is, how do I find that domain or restrict the domain of a function? Let's look at some of the recent problems we've done. The thing you've got to remember is if you're trying to see if your domain is restricted, you're looking for two things. You've either got a radical or a root, and that's going to be even. We're talking about square roots, fourth roots, sixth roots, and so on. Okay. If you have one of these, you know it can't be negative. You can't square root a negative number in the real number system. That's the first thing. The second thing you're looking for is fractions or division. Same thing. You cannot divide by 0. Or you can't have 0 in the denominator. So when you're asked to see if there are any domain restrictions, that's really what you're looking for. Even roots or fractions, to make sure that you don't have a negative or dividing by under a radical or dividing by 0. So the first one we've got here is a radical. So we know that everything underneath the radical must be greater than or equal to 0. Can't be negative. And we just use what we know. We know about inverse operations. And that simplifies to 3/7. So x has to be greater than or equal to 3/7. Second problem. Now it's not a radical or a root. This is a fraction or a division. So we know that everything in the denominator or at the bottom of the fraction cannot equal 0. So let's factor this. It gives us 2x times x plus 4 minus 5. Okay? We know that those factors cannot equal 0. Use your inverse operations. So we've got cannot be negative 4. And I'm going to move this up a bit because we got to be careful. That's a negative 5/2. X cannot be 5/2 and x cannot be negative 4. So when I say, are there any domain restrictions on this function, I'm saying, are there any values which would make the denominator 0? That's really what I'm asking you. Are there any values which would make the denominator 0? That's what we're asking ourselves. Because you can't have a 0 in the denominator, it's undefined. Let's look at one more. This is double fun. We have a radical and we have the denominator or a division. So let's start with the radical. X cannot equal a negative number, right? Which means x must be greater than or equal to 0. But be careful, this is a trick question because it says what's excluded, okay? These are all the numbers, all these positive numbers and 0, these are all the numbers that are included. So if all the numbers greater than 0 are included, the ones that are less than 0 are the ones that are excluded. So see how they're trying to trick you here? You have to read it carefully. Okay, now let's set that denominator. Make sure it's not equal to 0. So x squared minus 5x plus 4 cannot equal 0. So that would be x minus 4 times x minus 1, which cannot equal 0. X minus 4 cannot equal 0. X minus 1 cannot equal 0. So x cannot be 4. It's an ugly 4. And x cannot be 1. So here's 4 and here's 1. So these three are the three things, 2, 3, are the three things that are excluded from the domain. Okay. If you are struggling or have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out. Google Classroom, Remind, or email. Stay safe. Have a good day.